on here, and we have Imam Enchassi, the OCU chairman of Mercy Chair of Islamic Studies, here with us. And we also have my good friend, our good friend, already a friend of the show, Adam Soltani. He's executive director of CAIR Oklahoma. And you know,
welcome back, brother.
Welcome back,
Thank you.
brother.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And I'm here to tell you, you know, that show we did with you the last time, we got a lot of positive feedback.
That's good to
I
hear.
mean, you educated a lot of people, and
I'm glad to hear that.
And that's the essence of what we try to do here on One Mic, One Voice, is also to educate people. And me and Imam, we've met before, so I tried to friend him on Facebook, man. What I got to do? I mean, you know what? You know, tell me what I got to do in order to get the approval to be a friend on Facebook with you.
My Facebook is full. I have this private page. You just have to follow me.
I understand.
But I'll go ahead and follow you. So
okay, no, I appreciate it. But welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We know you, but talk a little bit about you know, what do you do? And Adam, why don't you start? Talk a little bit about CAIR and so forth, and we'll move forward.
Well, thank you for having us. You know, Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR Oklahoma. I got to clarify that because there's another CAIR apparently that has been enslaving people to work on a chicken farm in northeast Oklahoma. So that's CAIR. We're not that. We're the Council on American Islamic Relations, but we're a civil rights advocacy group. So we work to protect the rights of the Muslim community in the state of Oklahoma. We also work to advocate for not only the rights of Muslims, but just recognition of the community in a positive light. We have now a government affairs department, and so we do a lot of advocacy at the Capitol, trying to advocate with our legislators, trying to ensure that no laws are passed that target or discriminate against the Muslim community. We do a lot of outreach with the media and with the community, speaking at universities, churches, and synagogues. So we're all over the place, just trying to ensure that the quality of life for the Muslim community in Oklahoma is as good as it can possibly be.
Great. Iman?
Well, you know, it's hard. My son always asks me, "What do you do, Dad?" I said, "I'm a full-time agitator." So, as I'm a senior imam at the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City, so for the lack of term, I'm clergy, but also I'm the chair of Islamic Studies at Oklahoma City University. So I try to agitate our community to stand up and give voice to those who are not, or who does not have any voice, to those who are voiceless. And as a professor, I try to agitate my students to think outside of the box. I've been in Oklahoma City for quite a while, and I've been a senior imam at the Islamic Society since 2004. So I've been at it for a long time. We stand with and we stand on the side of anyone that promote civil liberties, civil rights, human dignity within our city. This is something that stems straight from our faith. So we try to practice what we preach. We try to talk the talk and walk the walk.
And, you know, you had mentioned, and I was going to ask the question, how long have both of you been here in Oklahoma?
I've been in Oklahoma since late 90s. I came with my family, and I went to Edmond Santa Fe High School. I went to University of Central Oklahoma. I got my graduate degree from OU, so I figure if I do another degree, it's going to be OSU. I'll just round out the experience. Yeah, I've been here, I guess, about 20 years now.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful.
I've been in Oklahoma since 1988. Came from Lubbock, Texas, from the Texas Tech University, straight to Oklahoma City. I was in the restaurant industry for a long time. My office was not far away from here, right on 63rd and May. Work in the restaurant industry, in the human resources, and about 2003, 2004, I made a move into becoming an imam.
That's great. So you've seen, I guess, the growth of Islam locally. What kind of compare your early experiences of what was going on in Oklahoma to where we are right now?
You want to start?
Well, I could start since I'm a bit older than Adam, just a
Just
little
a little
bit.
bit, just a little bit.
So at one time, there was, a mosque, one mosque, maybe two mosques here and there, and one person would have worn too many hats, right? So civil liberties was not something that that was taken care of by a whole organization like it is now. We took care of our infrastructure basically, and we took care of our people, and that's this December actually we're celebrating 20th anniversary of our mosque here in Oklahoma City.
Wonderful.
So from that one single mosque, and now there's more than 15 mosques within the state of Oklahoma. There are 5 between Edmond, Norman, and Oklahoma City. A mission building that take care of the poor, take care of the needy, take care of the poor, take care of the needy. We have a free clinic, a civil rights advocacy group, interfaith group. We have really Islamic work have a multi-faith throughout the whole state.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great, Adam.
Well, I guess I can give a different perspective because I came as a young person, and I actually didn't start practicing Islam until I was 17 years old. And I think the big difference that I see now is that there is a place for people to feel that they belong, whether no matter what age you are, whether you're in high school, college, young professional, or you're older, your family person, have kids. There's a place where you can fit in. There are organizations that can serve your needs, that can provide social belonging, and you don't any longer feel isolated, like I kind of felt when I was younger and had just converted. Luckily, I had a good group of friends, but those groups of friends were mainly international students.
Okay.
And after 9/11, with all the kind of societal, the atmosphere of hate against Muslims and the lack of willingness to bring more students in, they had to leave. And so I experienced that for a few years in the early 2000s, that really social isolation, because I no longer had friends, and there weren't really organizations where you could feel that you belong.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up my next point that I really wanted to go to. I mean, this animosity that we're seeing nationally, that we talked about the last time you were on the show, that has continued, and we have a current president that I mean, he insults every not just religion, but every ethnicity, I think, on the planet except for white nationalistic people, right, or the white supremacists. So talk a little bit about just your observation of where we're at, where we're heading, and how do we change this trajectory?
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but you have, according to one state legislator, the 2 biggest terrorists in Oklahoma sitting in the room with you. Yeah, we've debated as to who's number 1 and who's number 2. And I told the Imam, I said, you're older, so you get number 1. That's seniority. But that really speaks to where we're at right now. That was right around right before the elections in 2016.
Okay.
Myself and Imam Enchassi, we sat at the state capitol alongside our friends, the Reverend Dr. William Tabernet, who's the head of the Oklahoma Conference of Churches, Rabbi Vered Harris from Temple B'nai Israel, Dr. Carl Rubenstein from Interfaith Alliance. I mean, these are people that had large organizations, very well respected, and we sat alongside them while a state legislator whose salary is paid by our tax dollars pointed the finger at us and wrongly, falsely accused us of being terrorists without proof, without allowing us a chance to respond, and said that our friends in the interfaith community were complicit in our actions. And our response, of course, is, well, if they're complicit in our actions, then they're complicit in our charitable contributions and giving back to society and the good we do. But the fact that a legislator can do that with our tax dollars, I think really shows where we're at. And, of course, Donald Trump's a whole different story, I mean, with the travel bans targeting Muslim countries. I mean, this past week with those whole retweets of those videos, that was how far can you go before somebody stops you? But this is just the atmosphere we live in.
Iman, your thoughts?
Well, we just celebrated Thanksgiving the other day, and in my living room area or in my dining room, I have every ethnicity you could think of. So my ancestor come from Egypt, so I am African American. My father is Palestinian. My mother is Syrian. I was born in Lebanon. My in-laws are Cheyenne Indians and Caucasian. We sit on a table to eat Thanksgiving dinner. And our conversation has always been very interesting. So we talk about the Trail of Tears. We talk about slavery. We talk about immigration. The Mexican part of my family talks about immigration. But at the end of the day, we sit down and we pray and we eat because we're family and because everybody has a seat on the table. This whole last election has been personal because every ethnicity in my family has been attacked. I might add that my daughter is also a reporter, so a female and a reporter. So you could add all these ethnicities I have in my house. Somehow we're being taught or we're being told that not everybody have a seat on the table, and definitely in my family everybody have a seat on the table. The point I'm trying to make here that I have never seen our country this divided before based on ethnicity, color, nationality, national origin, and so on. And those last episode of Muslim ban and the him retweeting those videos just really amplify Islamophobia. Now it's perfectly. It seems like it's perfectly fine for people to bash Islam and Muslims because the highest office in our nation making it okay. And I might add, the office of the presidency is a lot larger than those who occupy it at this point.
Yeah. And the numbers reflect that. The numbers have been increasing from 2015 to now. The numbers of anti-Muslim hate crimes and anti-Muslim incidences are just off the charts. There were more in 2016 than 2015, and we saw more in just the first 3 months of this year than we saw in 2016. So the numbers are just unbelievable, and people are scared. I mean, we get calls all the time where people are afraid to leave their house. People are afraid to travel. People are afraid to just be themselves in public because they're worried about their own safety.
I might add, Adam, that as a professor of Islamic studies, I teach a course about Islam in America. So the vast majority of Muslims in the United States are African Americans, 33%. And this is an ethnicity that has been marginalized. This is an ethnicity has been, went through the civil rights movements and so on. And like one of my really good friend who's African American, Imam, he says in the civil rights liberties, when we were going for civil rights and standing for civil rights, I had to sit in the back of the bus. Now, as a Muslim, I can't even get on the bus. So it's a double whammy in some instances for the vast majority of Muslims in this nation who happen to be African Americans.
Wow, that is a lot to digest, folks. We want to hear from you. Definitely
send us your comments.
Yeah, send us your comments, questions.
We're sitting with the leaders right now. As we speak.
So, folks, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right
back.
This is Josh K.
And I am Leah Marie.
And when we listen to podcasts, we always listen to
one mic, one voice.
You can change the world, it's your choice.
Your choice.
This is Richard Taplin, host of Blackest Studios' The Black Box. Join Elijah Bailey and myself as we interview entrepreneurs as they share their stories of passion and how it motivates them to strive forward. We also explore new topics on self-improvement. If you want to listen to our show, simply search Blackened Studios on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or Stitcher. And be sure to follow us at Blackened Studios on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you want to catch all the shows that record here at Blackened Studios, simply go to the website, blackenedstudios.com. And remember, it's Blackened.
All right, welcome back, folks. Oh, man. In the studio with our good friends sharing an inside look into the faith into the day-to-day operations, the challenges. But you know what? They are Americans, just like me, just like Dee, just like Richard, just like you listening. Or you might be, you might be Kenyan, or I'm not discounting wherever you're listening from, but we happen to be in America. But there's so many positive things that the Muslim community does. I mean, and I want to get into how we should react in a bit here, that when we see something negative happen in our country. But I'll caveat that by saying that the majority of domestic terrorism is by white males. Okay, let me just plug that one in there. But let's talk about the positive, the interfaith things that you're doing in the community and nationwide.
Well, since I'm older than Adam again, he loves to hear that, by the way. It's funny you started with saying about white supremacy, because this is Oklahoma, and the largest terrorist attack, the only terrorist attack we have in our soil, was perpetrated by Timothy McVeigh. And because of that, the Interfaith Alliance started right after the 1995 bombing in the Alfred Murrah Building downtown Oklahoma City. So we are ahead of the nation, so to speak, on our interfaith work. I know it's hard to believe sometimes Oklahoma leads the nation on interfaith work, but we do. There are many interfaith organizations within Oklahoma City, and we work with one another. We support one another, I might add that you might even see those groups that might not get along, but the Muslims and the Jewish communities are allies of one another as well. The Jewish community have actually stood by us. In a way that is reflective to the two communities. They stood by us when we went to the state capitol to teach our kids about their civic engagement. I say the story, I'm going to keep saying it till the day I die, that I've been escorted inside the state capitol, as many of the haters were outside thinking that we shouldn't be there, that somehow we're desecrating the grounds. And I was escorted by two rabbis, happened to be female rabbis, and they escorted me into the people's house. One of them was almost 9 months pregnant, and I looked at her and said, "Sub-zero temperature, what are you doing?" She said, "Well, I know what hate feels like." Interfaith work, social work. We have free clinics in Oklahoma City. We have food pantry in Oklahoma City. We have a women's shelter in Oklahoma City, all run by Muslims. I might add, 14% of Oklahoma doctors are Muslim. So when a state,
what was that percentage again?
14%. Nationwide is 12%. Oklahoma, we have 14%. You're more likely to meet a Muslim in a hospital. To actually touch your heart, literally. Dr. Zudi's down Institute, he's the one who brought actually heart transplant to Oklahoma. So when a state representative called us cancer, literally, my answer to him was the only word that's associated with cancer are about 8 Muslim doctors who are trying to find a cure for cancer.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of how much harmony there is between the faith community. So I think you see a lot of animosity in terms of, when people say hateful things, controversial things. The news picks up on that. What they don't always pick up on are the beautiful things that do happen. So a few weeks ago, early November, I stood on the stage of the Oklahoma Conference of Churches annual dinner, one of the largest Christian organizations in our state, as a Muslim, and I presented the Interfaith Leadership Award to Rabbi Vered Harris, a Jewish woman, a Jewish woman spiritual leader. Yeah. That, I think, is a testament to how much harmony there is in our state, that I could actually do that. And just speaking of, giving back and the positive contributions of the Muslim community and being joined by all these faith communities, we every year, we're involved in volunteering at the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma. We're involved in volunteering at the Homeless Alliance, and we're joined by people of all faith backgrounds. So we're out there trying to do our best to bring people together to do good work. That's what our faith teaches us, and that's the only way things are going to improve.
Well, I have to say, man, we have been a proponent of standing with our Muslim brothers and sisters on the One Mic Voice show. Go
Thank
through the
you.
catalog. It's pretty long. It's about 99 other shows, but you will find it
Over
in
100
there
hours.
in defense of not only the individuals, but the religion itself. I've done work with Rabbi Harris. She's a good friend of mine. I've been up to prayer at the Northeast Mosque up there multiple times. And so I know the good, okay, that is being done, the love that is there. And I think that's what people don't understand is that, man, there's a whole lot of love, man. There's a whole lot of family. There's a whole lot of really coming to the aid in situations where other people just don't care.
Right.
And so we actually do have a question from a listener in Delaware.
Okay.
See if you can decipher this. It's a great question.
Sure.
It said, what role do Muslim groups play in helping others, such as those Muslims killed in Egypt? So kind of the idea, what I mean by deciphering, how do you look at that? Is there organizations that have that connection, kind of that diaspora connection to Muslims around the world in helping and assisting?
That's a little bit of a tough question, I think, because I think you got to look at the circumstances, right? So, I mean, there is violence in all countries. I mean, we have violence in our own country. We've talked about, I mean, there's a lot of gun violence and things of that nature. So I think in situations like that where it's a domestic issue, perhaps not. However, I can say that there's an organization that I'm personally a huge fan of, Islamic Relief, and they provide aid whenever there are natural disasters all over the country, all over the world. So in the U.S., when Hurricane Katrina hit or Hurricane Sandy, or even when the tornadoes hit Oklahoma, Islamic Relief was on the ground with the Red Cross and with other organizations helping. Same goes for anywhere else in the world where they're needed. They're building wells in Africa to ensure people have clean drinking water. They're on the ground in places like Turkey and Iran and other countries when earthquakes hits. And they were actually, about 4 or 5 years ago, the first international relief organization to step foot in Iran when the earthquake hit over there. So they're doing a lot of great work. That's really what I know about that.
So in my mosque, there are about 72 ethnicities. Okay. 72.
Wow.
I mean, we just said the African Americans are the vast majority. However, the reason I said that is because they're also first-generation immigrants that, they still have family. I have family in Syria. My mom is Syrian. So we take a humanitarian approach to any disaster that happens overseas. We deal with American charities, Islamic Relief. Adam just mentioned Islamic Relief. There's ICNA Relief. There are many other relief organizations that work overseas. We do raise money for them in our mosque in order to help with the disaster. Many of our youth take a trip overseas and serve in those refugee camps. Every summer, I have a 1-month vacation, so to speak, between quote, and I spend that time with my family and other people in these refugee camps because I was a refugee at one time. Wow. So there's a lot of, it's part of our faith to we're one nation. We say we are one human body, as the Prophet have elaborated. He says you're like this one body. If one part of the body is hurting, then the whole body is hurting.
Yeah. You know what's so ironic to me, the problem that people have with Islam. When I make this statement, I think either you're on another planet, or you can't reason properly, because most victims of terrorism is Muslims.
Right? That's true.
And so how can you come after Muslim people when they fall victim to a lie? So to me, help us react better to when we see something like this, right? For the average person that knows nothing about the religion, knows anyone that's Muslim, how can they better react and understand when tragedies like this happen?
Well, theologically, I want just to really throw this quickly.
Great.
That Abraham married Sarah, and so did Abraham married Hagar. So Sarah begotten Isaac for Abraham, and Sarah and Hagar begotten Ishmael. So Ishmael and Isaac are brothers from different mothers. So if you want to understand Islam, you understand a family. Isaac and Ishmael. Eventually, Prophet Muhammad comes from the progeny of Ishmael. And of course, Moses and Jesus comes from the progeny of Isaac. So we have the same laws. Anybody going to make fun of our laws or fight our laws, or, we're very charitable, just like Judaism and Christianity. We're very outreaching, just like other people. So, when somebody perpetrates a criminal act or violent act, and that person happened to be Christian, we don't blame the entire Christian faith for that. And, nobody came say, Oklahoma City bombing, Catholics ought to apologize for Timothy McVeigh's or whatever it is. But somehow when we perceive Islam as the other, when we perceive Islam as, it's them people from over yonder, if I could use that word on the air, we're brothers from different mothers. Hagar just happened to be African. Hagar happened to be Egyptian. And we have the same law. We have the same feelings. We're human beings at the end of the day. And our reaction ought to be an outrage, whether the act has been perpetrated by whomever has been perpetrated. However, sometimes when a violent act happens, me as an American Muslim, I am robbed of my normal feeling of feeling sad because I'm scared. Somehow, we ought to be praying for the victims, and we do. But in some instances, as a minority, we have to go to red alert. So if the perpetrator happened to have a Muslim name or something that is close to a Muslim name, we have to go to red alert. That means children will not play outside the Islamic school that day.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's good to reiterate that the number one victims of the terrorism of groups like ISIS are Muslims themselves. So, I mean, we are victims of both terrorism and the hate that people project towards our community for that terrorism, which is really tragic. So, ISIS, they may call themselves the Islamic State, but there's nothing Islamic about them at all. They don't represent our faith. They don't represent our religion. And every single action that they do that is criminal in nature goes against all the teachings of the faith. That's why it just boggles my mind. How can you think logically that any religion would promote violence or promote hatred? Or that's not a religion. That's not at all. And as the Imam said, that's the one thing that I always tell people is that when 9/11 happened, my heart broke twice. Once as an American and again as a Muslim, because I knew on that day that my life would change forever, and it did. That I am no longer just Adam Soltani, from Kansas, moving to Oklahoma, but I have to always be identified as a Muslim. My wife and my children will always be identified as a Muslim, and that carries a certain burden and unfortunately risk with it. So I think if I were to say something to people listening, recognize that Muslims are human beings just like you. There are good and bad in all communities, in all societies, but the vast majority of the 1.7 billion Muslims in the world, that's a lot of people, the vast majority, 99.9%, are just like you and me. Normal people just want to live a life, raise their family, hope that the Thunder win the championship.
Normal stuff.
ISIS and Al-Qaeda to Islam is like KKK to Christianity.
There you go.
That's the easiest way to look at it. They're a fringe element, and nobody thinks they're mainstream. And as a matter of fact, American Muslim scholars get threats from ISIS, and they get it from both sides. One of Oklahoma very own Imam Suhaib Webb, he gets threats from ISIS. He's on ISIS hit list. And he is, an American Muslim imam. At the same time, he gets threats from the other side as well.
I love the way you put that. The KKK is just like ISIS when it comes to Christianity. And I mean, did we blame Christianity when Dylan Roof did what he did?
No.
Okay.
I can give you an example from Oklahoma. We're all familiar with Alton Nolan and that terrible crime he committed when he beheaded the woman in Moore. 2 weeks later, and when that crime happened, it wasn't about the crime. It wasn't about his mental state, which has been proven in court to be, he's mentally incompetent. He cannot even stand trial. but Islam was to blame for that, which is tragic. The whole community, I mean, that was the worst 10 days of my life. Me and the Imam, we were stressing, my God, will something happen to our community? 2 weeks later, a self-proclaimed Christian extremist, I mean, he defined himself this way, beheaded his roommate in Stillwater because of a religious difference, and it got one article in the paper. The Christian community wasn't held responsible. They weren't scared for their safety and security, and nobody should be.
Absolutely.
We just have to look at the differences, and then we need to ask ourselves, why have we created this atmosphere in which Muslims don't feel at home in their own country?
Man, and it's got to change. I mean, really, it's got to. It's got to change. It's only going to change through conversations like this, through the activism that both of you are doing.
One mic and one voice at a time.
One mic, one voice at a time. I love that.
We're available. I mean, we're running all over the place. I mean, we're available to come speak to any group.
Well, talk about, Iman, how can people get in contact with you if they want you to come in, speak, do a seminar? How should they contact
They could contact me personally on my email, imadenchassi@gmail.com, or isgoc.com. We could find a speaker, or I could go speak. I was in church this morning. I'm in church. I'm more in church than Christian folk every Sunday in the morning. You know, so I'm in church, or sometimes I'm in a couple of churches. People are curious. People want to know, and then our mosque is open as well. We could go to your church, to your synagogue, to your civic center, whatever it is. We could talk for 10 minutes or do a 2-hour seminar, whichever it is to get the message across. Or you could more than welcome. I welcome people in the mosque all the time. Those are reasonable people who actually heard things in their church sometimes, and they want to come and ask the Muslims about a certain belief. I always kid around and I said, you will not go to KFC and ask them about Big Mac, right? Yeah. So if you want to ask a Muslim, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating for me that sometimes people want to learn about Islam from different sources, and sometimes those different sources are maybe not scholastic. They don't have the knowledge. We have many mosques and we have open houses all the time. Any groups, more than welcome to come to the mosque, make an appointment. We'll come to the mosque, we'll take you for a tour, and we'll, give you some hummus too, some baklava,
Man, I would love that.
And we'll answer frankly and openly any question anybody has.
Wonderful. And you, Adam?
Our website, CAIROklahoma.com. That's CAIR Oklahoma.com. We've got tons of resources on there. We've got educational guides for educators, employers, healthcare providers. Got information about our organization. You can contact us that way. We're also both on social media. I mean, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snap. I do it all,
Imam's Facebook is full, though, for the record.
For the record, yeah.
You could follow me.
Yeah, you can follow him,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
can't friend him.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Can't just access him like
I'm still mad because I can't friend him, man. I don't know. Man, you have to just delete somebody. Just let me know, right? Let's coordinate where you delete.
I'm just gonna delete. I'm gonna delete Adam. And
there you go. I mean, I see him all the time, anyways. It's all good.
Right. Well, hey, can we get this on the One Mic page too? If you can go ahead and just put your information on there for us.
Sure.
Put the website on there for us, and then we'll go from there.
Sure.
We got okay. Well, it's been great having both of you on. Hold on a second.
We do have a comment. One of our listeners says the Murr building was the second terrorist act in Oklahoma soil. 1919, the rare sun, but not to distract from the topic, but felt that needed to be mentioned. With the Muslim struggles relating to our struggles so closely, terrorism relates to Muslims as the depiction of blacks relates to violence in the streets and killing of blacks. That's why we relate to the religion so strongly.
Amen. I totally agree with that statement. I spoke about it many times. I meant recent history, but 1919. I think referring to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Black Wall Street,
right.
Yeah, definitely.
No one would deny the impact that has had, not just on Tulsa, Oklahoma, but on the nation and the world. But folks, we're going to take a break. Thank you so much for being here on One Mic, One Voice. We look forward to having you back again.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, man, for being on our 100 show.
Definitely.
No, it's an honor.
That's
an honor.
Oh man,
They blessed it.
Oh man, they blessed it. Folks, hang in there. We'll be right
back.
This is Dr. Laura Gillot, and when I listen to podcasts, I always listen to the One Mic, One Voice show.
This is DT of the One Mic, One Voice podcast. Just want to let you guys know you can go over to iTunes and search us at One Mic, One Voice, and be sure to rate and review our episodes. Let us know about any feedback that you have and what you enjoy about the episodes. Also, you can go over to Stitcher where you can get the latest and freshest episodes of our podcast streamed directly to your smartphone or iPad. No downloading or syncing. How cool. Real smooth. Also, we'd just like to take the time to thank you for your time and for your energy and for spending time with us as we discuss the historical record of our time.
This is Quraysh Ali Lansana, poet, author, educator, and Oklahoma, and when I listen to podcasts, I'm on that One Mic, One Voice joint.
This is Elijah Bailey.
This is Richard Taplin
from The Elijah Bailey Show, bringing you all the content that you could ever desire about anime, manga, comic books, martial arts, fitness, and more.
You can find us at Elijah Bailey Show on the official Facebook page and also Elijah Bailey Show without the W on Twitter and Instagram.
Make sure to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and rate on iTunes and Podbean.
Thank you for downloading this episode. If you're on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play Music, or whatever podcasting library you're listening to this show on, please rate and review. Those reviews and ratings help us tremendously. We thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Roxy Davis.
And this is Deborah Burris. And we are
the Roxy by Design Show. Our show is designed to bring healing as we share our stories while God redesign our lives.
So take a ride with us.
So you can find us at
Podbean, iTunes,
Facebook and Twitter,
and blackenstudios.com.
So thank you everyone for listening to the Roxy by Design Show. You have a blessed day.
We love you.
Welcome back. Oh man, wonderful interview, a lot of knowledge. Two individuals that are doing amazing work in and outside of their own community. Just to hear the passion, D, of really coming from them, and I mean, man, the world would be a better place.
I mean, I think it's just important to hear from the source sometime. You know,
Absolutely.
We have all these expectations and ideas and ways we think that things are happening. That's we may be so far off base sometime that we just need to have a conversation with the
source
himself, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's beautiful that they're able to give us information, education on how to react to certain situations and how to engage our communities with different issues we see going on. So,
and his analogies was right on point.
Right on point.
Right on point.
I mean, but that just speaks to the caliber of guests we have here on the One Mic, One Voice show.
Well, brother, I want to reflect. Man, it's been 100 episodes.
100.
And it's first of all, it's been a pleasure to do each and every one of those alongside you. And we've started out strong, and we're still going strong.
That's right.
And when I look at our 100 shows, it has been, when we talk about culturally, we talk about politically, even when we deal with education, poverty. I mean, we have a
very diverse.
It's very
catalog,
diverse,
yeah.
And to put in that type of work, it's not easy, folks. And I'm not patting ourselves on the back, but that's a lot of research. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of dedication to the truth. I mean, I got a comment from a friend that said, keep putting light out into the world. And that's really what we're trying to do. Although it might be at an occasion challenging, but we're trying to disperse the darkness, right? The ignorance, right? The hatred. You can change the world. It's your choice.
It's your choice.
Right? And that's where we've been, man. So just some thoughts on this journey, man, this amazing journey that we've taken.
Well, I had to say, first of all, that I feel a lot more comfortable now at 100 than I did at number 1.
Right.
And even in my voice, you can tell in the way that I deliver, I mean, it's different. I'm sure there'll be more evolutions as we go forward, but I've just really been able to be a student here every week, coming in and just dissecting the information and trying to get a better understanding. I think that's the value in a show like this, is that, not only are we trying to engage a conversation, but we're trying to educate. We're also trying to expand our own minds about some of the things that are going on. And to be able to share that with somebody who is balanced, it's a lot easier, because we're not coming in here every week and causing further confusion, so to speak. It's like, man, I just heard a whole hour of stuff that got me more messed up. Right. And so I think even in listening to us speak, you can hear that we're trying our best to be equal in all parts, and trying our best to be evaluating situations in a fair way. That allows us to be able to build on the ideas and to build on the things that we're talking about.
And one thing that people always ask me is what is your best episode? And it's hard, because there's so much passion put into each and every one of them to say which one is the best, right? Maybe it would be better to say, which one did you learn the most from, or something like that, which would be really interesting. I would, if I had to just pick
that sounds
couple.
Like somebody coming from academia, though.
Yeah, right.
Which one did you learn the most?
Right. I would have to say it's our Part 3 series on white nationalism. Also, Who Created the Ghetto. I thought that was extremely just educational, and the way that we were able to dissect that level of history, and to bring it about with that level of clarity, I thought was really, really amazing. I'm
gonna throw one at you.
Okay.
Cairo, Egypt.
Oh man, I mean, Cairo was
a different type of excellent.
Man, Cairo. Cairo is one of those things where you don't expect, right? I mean, you never expect to be projected into another country, having a broadcast with students in Egypt. And so to me, that was out of left field, and it was amazing, man. I mean, to hear those students and to spend that moment with them, across the water, man, was just that was. I mean, if you say what really, what was the most, I think, just exciting one that we never expected. It was Cairo, Egypt.
And I think for me, like, that was the one that kind of opened my eyes to the possibility, because even starting a show, it's like you don't know what you're going to do. You have some plans, you're going to put the information out there, but what become of it is up to the universe, right? And so this person reached out to us.
Professor Mohash.
He said, hey, our students would love to hear you guys speak, and to give us some information about what you're doing. And I thought that was just like golden, man. Golden. I mean, you can't write this stuff.
And the way it was set up, where we had an opportunity to speak with each student,
right.
With the chair just coming up to the camera, and just speaking, their heart and their mind and their aspirations. And yeah, that was an amazing
And the way
show.
that the technology have just opened up the doors like that,
Yeah.
to make that so easy and possible.
Yeah. I know, right? Technology, right? And but again, you can't, you can't talk about the One Mic One Voice show without mentioning Bernadette Standis. I mean, you can't, celebrity of celebrities on the One Mic One Voice show back in the old studio.
Oh, wait. No, Mike, listen. I've been spoiled a little bit because we've been here at this nice, beautiful facility. Blackened Studios is getting better every single time I come in here. Rich is always upgraded.
And we ain't talked about the new table he just put in here.
I don't even recognize the microphone. So I'm like, man, what is this? It's got just like a dot on the, on the table, just like talking to the dot. DT. I'm like, wow, right. Advancements. But even going back to us being at the crib.
Starting out
at the crib.
Man, sitting on the couch with Thelma from Good Times. How could you ever imagine that?
Richard had Thelma in his house.
He still lives there. Hold on, man. If you ever sell your house, you can be like, okay, Thelma from Good Times was actually in this house. You understand what I'm saying? Like that
Right.
that could just bring up your market value
Really?
right there.
And you got
right?
pictures, you got proof and everything.
And you still got the camera? I mean, no, hold on, I'm telling you still got the couch? Okay, yeah, bro. That's an eBay. Oh yeah, you can make some money on. But the thing about it is, growing up watching her on TV, right, and then sitting next to her, and she was so humble, so kind. I mean, just
down to earth,
man. And we had just really started the show, right? We had not been. I don't know what episode that was, but. I mean, it wasn't like it was beyond 50, right?
Right.
It was way.
I think that even speak to what we were doing,
Absolutely. I mean, that was.
For them to seek us out and wanted to get her on there.
And you were kind of, I have to say, you were mesmerized.
Come on, Mike. Are you going to bring it up?
I'm just like,
we are recapping. I guess it's okay.
we do. You were like, I was like, is he going to pass out?
The thing is that you were sitting next to her, right? Like side by side. So the eye contact is like. Not as crucial as it was. It was me sitting across from her.
You were like, I was like, is D like we get him some water or something? Let me fan him off or something. But her and her husband, man, me and her husband have communicated since then, man. He's just a real cool dude. What episode was it?
Actually, that was the 7th recording.
Episode 7?
Well, episode 7 is called Straight Out of OKC.
Okay.
Episode 6 is called Keeping the Fight Alive, but it was a celebrity episode that we did.
In between 6 and 7.
It didn't take long, did it?
It didn't take long. September 1st, 2015. Amazing. Beautiful. That was amazing, man. And she called in and participated on the show. Then we've had athletes on the show that I think have just added a different perspective to what's going on in that particular world, right? Amazing, man. Amazing. What we got, D? Who do we have?
Okay. On the show description from the celebrity episode, it says we had the wonderful privilege of interviewing Bernadette Stanis, a.k.a. Thelma from the groundbreaking show Good Times. Bernadette is an American icon. Also, we interviewed James McKnight, former NFL star. Gerald Jones, him and I went to high school together.
No doubt.
Former college football star. And Zola Malik, rapper, producer, and singer. Musician. Cola.
Yeah, Cola went off too on that one, man. Yeah, he went off. He like broke the mic when he just
Wait. How could we bring up a musician without talking about the theme song?
The theme song. We can go back. Okay. Who did
Shout
the theme
out
song?
to Josh K and Leah Marie. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say because they've been here.
Been on the show.
We've shouted them out multiple times. You hear them on our commercials and everything, but I mean, they really set the tone for the vibe that the show creates. with that music.
And it's beautiful because, as I have said, countless times, I never gave them any indication of what we were looking for. I heard it first, and then I let DT, as he say, listen to a little snippet of it. I gave him everything I had.
Tripping with the snippet, man.
And
like say for instance, the song was like 2 minutes. Mike gave me like 7 seconds. I'm like, really, Mike? It's just like what? I'm like, whoa, that was hot, but I want to hear some more.
They did a terrific job. It caught the essence of the show. We bump our heads and thump our heads every time we hear it. Folks, you can go out there. You can buy it on iTunes. You can get it on Spotify. It's available. Support the One Mic, One Voice show. Richard, what you keep doing, man?
He was showing me that Cairo Egypt was our 57th episode.
57. Now you doing work. That's okay. You doing work.
Climbing up the ladder now.
You doing work.
Okay, show us something else. Okay, wait a minute. Going back to just our previous guest, we had our episode 75, which was the Enlightening, the Enlightenment.
Okay.
And something that you talked about was when we were talking about Syria and how the language sometime of loss, being that they identify people as refugees or some type of terrorist group, it takes the humanity out of the situation where we're not looking at them as people anymore. Yeah. But, like you said, you lose a friend, a family member, mom, dad. I mean, that pain is the same. And that's something that he just said again here talking to us today about the way that we deal with each other on a human level.
Absolutely.
And how that is still something that is a recurring theme.
Man, let's talk about some have we had any funny moments, man? I mean, like,
oh my gosh, too many funny moments. I mean, one thing that stick out to me right away is like a running theme of the show was the thing about the slingshots. And yeah, that was just so like ridiculous, right? I was trying to find something so I could see what that cat has been up to, but I couldn't find anything on him. But I know that was something that we kept in house for a minute.
But you did have some follow up on some folks that like, where are they now or something?
Right. Okay, so in our very first episode, we took a look at the life of Rachel Dolezal, who at the time was portraying herself as a black woman, and had come out and her parents pretty much came out and said, "Hey, she's white." Don't know what she's talking about, but we had her, and we don't have any African American blood in us. So that was that, and she to this day is still kind of keeping that theme alive, but she's got a new perspective on it. Like to hit go. All right, so Rachel today is saying that she doesn't identify as African American. She's identifying as black. All right, so now nearly 2 years after the
whoa, you confused me there. So she's identified.
No. Listen, Mike. Listen. Okay. I don't identify. I'm quoting her, right? I don't identify as African American. I identify as black. She told Savannah Guthrie on Today, Monday. I am part of the Pan-African diaspora.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well, it gets better. Rachel also went along and had a name change to fit her African diasporan roots. She's now going by Nkechi Amare Diallo. Nkechi Amare Diallo.
That sounds like something you eat.
That is actually a very common African name.
Nkechi?
Nkechi, yeah. But, I mean, any comments on that?
It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's all convoluted. I just, again, so she's part of the diaspora because she's black, but she's not African American, which speaks to the definition, right? Whether you're Caribbean American or you're African American, Caribbean, African, I mean, it all speaks to that. The point is that black people have moved out of Africa around the world. So I don't know how you make that distinction.
She said, I definitely feel like in America, even though race is a social construct, there is still a line drawn in the sand. There are still sides. Politically, there's a black side and a white side, and I stand unapologetically on the black side.
On the black side. On the black side of things. You know, we did our 50th, man, celebrating our 50th. We had folks call in, talk about, you know where I'm going right now.
All right, so we're gonna actually have to lay this story to rest at some point, but it was just such a capstone moment. I mean, you can't, like I said, you can't write this stuff, man. We actually miscalled someone, actually dialed the wrong number or something, and we actually got in touch with a little old lady in Florida.
I know.
I mean, this lady was so sweet. I mean, not a care in the world, like, you know, trying to help us in any way she could, but it was her birthday.
It was her birthday.
And being the good guys that we are, we decided to sing her happy birthday.
Man, that was amazing. That was amazing.
She was live on our show for that day.
And she had a Jewish accent. And she was just, man, just such a great sport, right? She didn't hang up the phone. Right. She like wanted to have this conversation.
It reminded me of the Cat Williams
right.
The call situation. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You don't know Richard? Okay. He must call out his mohawk this morning. So. Okay, but anyway. Yeah.
Oh man, that was hilarious. But you know, I mean, it's been such a wonderful ride. I mean, man, going to see Harry Belafonte, that was amazing. Having a show talking about that. We can't forget hitting the Midwest, you know, going to Milwaukee, Kenosha, Chicago.
How can I forget about Straight Out of Africa?
Straight Out of Africa.
Yeah, just back from the motherland.
Back from the motherland. That was a great show. Folks, we have, you might say, well, what else can we talk about? Well, there's a million things that we can talk about. But, you know, moving forward, D, I'm just going to say for myself, you know, I think our goals are the same: to educate, enlighten, empower, and really try to make this world a better place on whatever platform we can get on. I want to, again, give a shout out to our listeners, the folks that have been supporting this show.
The thousands across the country
that have been supporting this show, providing your feedback on and off the mic. Folks that have used one mic to draw strength from the conversation. Folks that have taken the conversation beyond one mic into their own communities, their own families. We just say thank you. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for believing in us, man. Because it's been a beautiful ride, brother. And, you know, I don't know if we ever add another zero to it. It might take it might take us a while to get there, huh? 1,000th show.
Yeah. We just look to 150 for now.
150. 150 for now. But folks, hey, listen, if you don't know this is the hottest podcast out there, you better tell somebody. Listen, go join Patreon. We want you to get more engaged as we move beyond 100. Get more engaged with us. Go to patreon.com/OneMic1Voice. Hit us up on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Listen, download us on iTunes. Give your review. Share us. Help spread the word. Because we putting in the work. All you got to do is listen. Right? I mean, really, right? I mean, I'm not asking you to do no research. We giving it to you, right? All you got to do is listen and participate and just look, share us. Share it. Because One Mic, One Voice is here to stay. No, D, you got to give some closing remarks.
I was telling Mike to close it out. But no, I pretty much reflect every single thing you said, brother. I mean, this is just a pit stop in where we're going. And so I look at this as just another moment in history that we can look at and say, hey, time to keep going.
And, you know, there's so many folks we could have thanked. I mean, thank to all our guests that have come on from far and wide, that
all
have
the city
called
community
in.
organizations
absolutely.
and venues that have allowed us to come out
Absolutely.
And set up.
Absolutely. You know, we are indebted to those who listen to the show. But trust me, let me say this, though. If we didn't have the show, me and DT would still be talking.
We'll still be doing this. That's the crazy part, right?
That's how it all started. From day one, from sitting down at the lunch table.
Yeah. You want to tell me where we had lunch at?
No, we can't. They ain't paying us that much.
Okay, cool.
If they want to pay us, we can tell. But.
Okay, I'm gonna call them and see what they
From the times we sat and we had coffee, man. From the times we sat and just checking up on one another. That's how One Mic, One Voice was born, out of a desire to change the world. You to change mine and me to change yours.
Man.
Because history will speak of us. Somewhere in the distant future, a scribe will reach down deep into the archives of our time, and what will she find? Will she find that we overcame our differences? Will she find that out of many we became one? Or will she find that we solved nothing and remain a divided peoples? Yes.
History will speak of us.
We can make a difference if we try. We can be the change that's in our lives. All we gotta do is work together. We gotta raise our children better. We gotta stop the hate, and spread the love.
One mic, one voice. You can change the world, it's your choice. One mic, one voice. You can change the world, it's your choice. One mic, one voice. You can change the world, it's your choice. One mic, one voice. You can change the world, it's your choice. Your choice.
Today's broadcast is being brought to you by Blacken Studios. To learn more about Blacken Studios, please visit them at blackenstudios.com or visit them on their Facebook page, Blacken Studios. Today's broadcast is also being brought to you by Perry Publishing and Broadcasting. To learn more about Perry Publishing and Broadcasting, please visit their website at perrypublishingandbroadcasting.net. The opinions of the One Mic, One Voice show do not reflect the views of Blacken Studios or Perry Publishing and Broadcasting. Thank you for downloading the One Mic, One Voice show.